welcome to the Lair. Today I have Diego here with me. Hi Diego, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
I'm very well. So I'm really excited to have you here today because I think you can answer a lot of questions for us that we've kind of been asking along the way.
Yes.
But before we get started, I'd like to just know, do you prefer to be called a witch doctor or a medicine man or maybe a shaman?
I prefer to be called just a regular witch.
Just a witch?
Yeah, because there's literally, the term witch doctor derived from my 16 times great aunt, who was the first witch of our tribe in Africa. And because she came from Africa, the term witch doctor, she was also a doctor at the time. The term witch doctor was her nickname, but it also stuck from generation to generation. So that's where the term witch doctor came from, but we're all just regular witches.
Right on. Well, you know, I've had several of my guests have recommended that I have a warlock on, so I guess that would be you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Witch, warlock, same thing. Yeah.
Same thing, yes.
Okay, right on. All right, so can you tell us exactly what is a witch or a warlock?
Okay, so although they are the same pedigree, their energy is the same, is a bit different. So witches are people who have more lighter energy, who try to put more good into the world instead of taking from it. And warlocks are considered evil because they put more negativity into the world just naturally. So maybe they're more aggressive, or they're more sneaky, or they're more conniving naturally. So they put more negative energy into the world, and that's why they're called warlocks, because we're seen as the bad guys. And wizards are nothing more than mere mortals who are connoisseurs of a certain subject. So Albert Einstein would have been considered a wizard of science.
I see.
So that's the difference between the three.
Okay, thank you.
Witches are
A bloodline. Okay, so so how did you become a witch doctor? I mean, were you like, I understand that it's a bloodline thing, but did you have to train, or were you?
I mean, with any ability, you do have to, in order to get stronger and become wiser, and you have to train. But every generation has one witch, okay, or one wizard. So I'll say it this way: in the 1300s, when the first witch of my bloodline started, she was the first of that generation. She was the only witch of that family. And then the next generation, it actually skipped. But then that generation gave birth to a wizard. I mean, not a wizard, a warlock.
Right.
And that so forth and so forth. It's not a guaranteed thing you'll be a witch or a wizard or a warlock. It's just kind of like, it's a mutated gene that most generations get.
I see. So it's like any other genetic trait. You may or may not inherit it, but only one person in the family will at any given time. Right. Okay, well that makes sense. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about the bloodline, the tribe that you're from?
So the tribe that I come from is of the Duwakia tribe, which was at the northern part of Africa, just below Sahara, but right next to Egypt. It wasn't in that area. Basically, the first witch, my 16 times great aunt, Maludwa Smith, she discovered she was a witch when I remember the story, is she was upset one day, and it was the middle of a dry spell in that part of Africa. And one day she was upset, and she got so upset she started crying, and when she started crying, it started raining. And that's when she thought she might have had something inside of her that was of the supernatural world, so she tried to test it out again. And she realized eventually that she had the ability to manipulate, alter, and control the temperature and weather of a certain area that she was in. So she could make it sunshiny on a rainy day. She could make it, bloom early spring in the winter. It's whatever she felt like doing, but she had to learn to control it. She didn't always use her abilities for good, but for the most part in that time of history, she was good for the most part.
Right. Well, I mean, nobody's 100% good or 100% evil. And I imagine that in that time and place, would you say that they were more open to this kind of supernatural thing than?
No. Nah, she actually had to hide it, and so her mother loved her very much, and she didn't want anything to happen to her. So she told her to either protect her identity or find a way to control her ability. So what she did is she actually created this ring. And this
Oh.
ring is supposed to, it's been passed down for over hundreds and hundreds of years in my generation. She is supposed to help you control your abilities when you're still learning how to use them, per se.
Okay.
It's supposed to help you control it and not accidentally set something on fire at school or turn someone into a dog in the middle of the town marketplace, you know, so.
Which the townsfolk tend to frown upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So it's like a damper?
It's a protection, it's a safety.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt us in any way. It doesn't build anything up inside of us. It helps us to control those emotions, and it pretty much acts like a surge. All those negative energies and everything that we would get ready to put out into the world, or positive, the ring, as you wear the ring, it soaks it all up.
It's like a circuit breaker.
Exactly.
Nice. That's cool. Okay. Well, I mean, I think the question that we're all dying to know the answer to is, can you kind of explain to us why the Lair is a safe place?
The Lair is a safe place because my ×8 great-grandfather he had fallen in love with my great-grandmother at the time. And she wasn't a witch, or she wasn't of that bloodline. So that was a place where they could go and be together without having to worry about anyone finding them or chasing them. And he realized the spell he used showed your true colors.
Okay.
So it basically neutralizes, the Lair is supposed to neutralize all magical abilities, no matter whether you are a witch or a wizard or of any other kind of supernatural realm. It's supposed to neutralize your abilities, and it shows your true colors. So that way it's easier for him to tell if someone is trying to hurt him or if they're trying to help him, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the reason that when I say have a troll in here and I'm talking to him, the reason that he doesn't attack me is...
It's because he can't.
Ah, I
It's
see.
still sacredly bound by my 8 times great-grandfather's magic.
Nice. Well, we certainly do appreciate that. I wish I could thank him. Okay, so now correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding, which I didn't know much about the Lair, except that when I come here, monsters don't attack me. But I was under the understanding there was some kind of a Native American influence there. Can you tell me anything about that?
Yes, around the early 1900s, my 3 times great aunt married a Native American whose tribe lived on this area. And he, of course, she taught him some magic because Native Americans are naturally spiritual. Yes. So they combined their spirituality and their magic, and they created a place where this land is never, how do I put it? It is never harmed on the outside. It can't be seen. That's what their magic does. So
I see.
my great-grandfather's magic protects us on the inside, and their magic is supposed to protect the land on the outside.
I gotcha.
That no one ever hurts it or tries to put a subdivision around it, you know.
Right, because that would be tragic. All right, cool. Well, what about you? Can you tell me a little bit about, where do you live at?
My powers first manifested when I was in Brazil. I remember I had just turned 18, and my grandmother, she knew that I was born to be a witch. My powers just hadn't manifested yet, and there's no telling why. Sometimes it manifests when you're a child, sometimes it manifests as an adult. I think it just happens when it's supposed to, when your destiny is finally there. It first manifested when I was in Brazil. So the rule is, wherever you are when your powers first manifest, you have to take on the name of that native land as kind of like taking it on as your land, your home now.
I gotcha. So that's why Diego, but no Spanish accent.
Right.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it. Okay. And so what about here? Is there, do you have a lot of family here? Is there like a strong tribal community?
There are, it depends on what you call family. My family is still over in Africa and in parts of America, but I have actually connected with a few witches of the area, and we have gotten together. I guess you could say it's my own coven. We've gotten together and we help keep things peaceful, and we help each other learn and grow as witches and as human beings. So it's kind of like our own little book club, but without books.
So it's like Friends, but with
Right.
witches.
Right, pretty much.
I would totally watch that show, by the way. Okay, well that's cool. So do you guys have like rules that you have to observe, like dietary restrictions, special clothing, anything like that?
Well, because I guess the world today is a bit more open and perceptive to supernatural worlds, we are not supposed to use our powers on mortals if we can help it. Now, if there's someone getting ready to get hit by a bus and it's just a knee-jerk reaction to save them, then we understand and we'll try and work around that. But if you see someone who is sad, you can't just go and use your powers to make them feel better, forget why they're sad, because it affects their entire destiny. When you use magic and you affect their lives, you don't know if they're sad because they are trying to get over a breakup or whatever, they have to get stronger. So if you take that from them, you alter their destiny naturally. So we can't use it on mere mortals, and we cannot have supernatural arguments with other beings in front of humans. We have to have it on sacred ground outside of their view.
Okay, so when you're talking about other beings, you're talking about what we here in the Lair, we refer to as monsters, right? Vampires, werewolves.
Yes, all the things that go bump in the night do actually exist.
So have you had a lot of encounters with these kind of beings?
I have actually lived and traveled to the other realms, yes.
Wow. So do you have any opinion on these other types of monsters?
I will say this. Every monster is just as different as every human. The only difference is they have supernatural, what this world would call supernatural abilities. So you have to learn how to not kill each other while getting to know each other. It's so much fun because I've killed quite a few people.
Oh.
Yes, there's people that have tried to kill me because I was different.
But aren't you immortal? I mean,
Well, I mean, if you call living 800 years immortal, then yes. But we still die. We just don't die as quickly as the human body does. Our bodies are built to last a little bit longer than normal.
I see. Well, that's nice. Well, that's cool. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Tell us, Diego, what would you say is the best thing about being a witch doctor?
The best thing, I've always enjoyed flying.
You can fly.
I can fly. Flying, I can actually fly. That's how I have to travel into different dimensions. You have to go a certain speed, a certain sound wavelength of speed in order to get into that other realm. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. I don't know how to explain it quite well, but you have to go a certain speed to get. Like in Back to the Future, he had to go 85 miles per hour in order to get there.
Yes, yes.
That's the same thing with us, but we have to go 3 Mach to get to the next realm.
Wow. That sounds kind of, I mean, the whole flying thing has always sounded like a pretty cool ability to me, but flying that fast sounds kind of scary. I mean, terrifying, honestly.
It is when you first learn to do it. It definitely is. But it's like with any new adventure, you eventually get accustomed to it the more you do it, and it seems like nothing else.
But you got to avoid planes and birds and...
That's why I always fly a little bit higher than everyone else.
Right on. The higher you fly, the better you feel.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's the best thing. What's the worst thing about being a witch doctor?
The worst thing about being a witch doctor for me is all of our powers are different. They're tailored to our DNA because it's a genetic mutation. And I am what this world calls an empath. I basically have the ability to feel, connect, and collect every emotion and every energy in the entire area, in the entire world. So I feel what you're feeling right now. I just learned to, with this help of the ring, I've learned to control my emotions. I've learned to not let it affect me as much physically. And I can also take what you're feeling and I can turn it into, I can take it out of you and turn it into physical energy. I can manipulate energy at the molecular level.
What? Okay. All right. Well, let me see if I can wrap my brain around this. All right. So let's say I'm having a great day and I'm super happy. I don't know what happened. Maybe I won $100 on the lottery.
Right.
So I'm having a great day. Yay. So tell me how you would manifest that. How would that, what would happen?
So your happiness would show to me as what people call colors, but it's really just rays of light. I would see it as blue. there would be shades of blue coming off of you, and it would flow into me, and I would be feeling the same way, but without the ring. It would naturally happen.
Got it.
So if you're happy jumping off of the world, feeling on top of the world with glee, I would feel the exact same way. But once I'm wearing the ring, I can learn to take it inside and have the surge hold it and not let it affect me as much.
Gotcha. But when you were talking about manifesting it physically, now what would you manifest that into?
I could manifest it into pyrotechnics. I could manifest it into colors. I can manifest it into anything really. It's all about concentration and intent. So if I want to manifest your happiness into an apple pie, I could do that.
I love apple pie.
Doesn't everyone?
Well, everyone in America.
True. True.
Although the Germans invented that. Don't let anybody fool you. Okay, well that's cool. All right, so I tell you what would you want people to know about witch doctors? If you could just address everybody now, what would be your message for us?
If I could address everyone in the entire world right now, I would tell you that witches, no matter which doctors, no matter wizards, no matter warlocks, we are all human beings. We all bleed. Granted, there's a part of us that is a bit different, but it's just like people who have dimples or people who have curly hair or people who have thicker skin. It's just a genetic evolutionary drawing card, I guess you can say. There's nothing between us that we can't do that you guys can't do. And I want you to understand that we're not here to hurt you. We're not here to take over the world. We're not here to cause chaos, even though some of us naturally do. They can't help it. And we try our best to help our people maintain and control themselves and their abilities so that they don't hurt anyone who doesn't have as equal a playing field.
So basically, you would say you're not a threat and you don't wish to be treated as one.
Right. And if you see someone who is a witch, don't shun them. Don't banish them.
Don't burn them at the stake.
Don't burn them at the stake, please. That time was dark for everyone. Embrace them because they're born with it. So embrace them and teach them, become their friends, because they could actually become your best ally if you let them, but they can also be your worst nightmare if you try and hurt them. So love on them, no matter if they're different, no matter if you're different. Don't hurt them out of fear. Love them out of respect for yourself.
Nice, I like that. Okay. Well, so we were talking earlier about different kinds of supernatural beings. Your spells or your powers, do they work on other supernatural beings the way they do on mortals? Or are there some that are immune to your spells?
No one's immune to my magic. No one's immune to any kind of magic. However, it does affect different beings differently. So maybe chlorophyll may put a human to sleep. It may knock them out unconscious. But chlorophyll, vampires drink that with their dinners. So it affects different beings differently. You just have to learn that as the older you are and the more you're in this game and you play it, you kind of learn what works and doesn't.
But if it came right down to it, say a succubus could resist you a lot better than I could.
Yes, pretty much.
She'd be more difficult for you to control than me.
They are actually, and they're quite, well, when I first discovered my powers and I had that rebellious streak in me, it was kind of fun to manipulate them and make them think that they were going crazy because I could create that kind of energy inside of them and watch them just go crazy all over town. That was a good Friday night. That was a good Friday night.
Well, it sounds like fun to me.
Oh, it was. It was.
Right on. All right. Well, can you tell us a story about your family, about the witches?
Okay. So here's a cool story. When a new witch is born, it is said that the spirit of every witch before them comes back and blesses that child. So when I was born, my grandmother said she knew that I was destined to be a witch because she felt everyone's energy. She felt everyone's spirit around. And she said what was different about me was that she had never met an empath before, so she didn't quite know what was going on, but she knew that it was something different. she didn't quite know how to explain it. And the more I got older and the more she saw that I was a sensitive kid and that I had a big heart, she kind of started to know that what was happening was of that nature.
Okay.
So that was the coolest story about my childhood. The other thing was, I don't ever have to worry about bad relationships because I can sort of already see where things are headed before they get there. So I've always been able to avoid bad situations, if I could, so to speak.
So it's like you're controlling another person. You just can see where it's not going to work out, so that you can avoid problems before they ever happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise, if you were talking about manipulating them, that would not be too cool.
That would, I mean, when I say manipulate, I don't mean I get to make you.
Like, you love me, you do.
Right. I don't get to do that, but I see what you're going to do before you even do it. So I can manipulate the situation so that I don't get hurt, because I can obviously easily get hurt.
Yeah, I guess as an empath, you'd have to watch out for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, Diego, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about or share with us today?
I'd like to tell you about why I have a skull face. A lot of people think it's just because I'm a witch doctor, but
it is pretty scary.
And most things that are good for us do seem to be scary in the beginning. But the reason why I have a skull face is because it said that empaths can they can go into the soul of anyone and pull out the heart of the problem. So in my culture with my 16 times great aunt, when she first started, in that tribe it was a thing where skulls are supposed to be the physical manifestation of a person's soul. So when someone would die, you would always savor their skulls so that their spirit was always peaceful and intact.
So Monty here is pretty peaceful.
No, he was actually hexed by. There's a different story. See, it's not supposed to be your entire body. That's a skull. It's just physically the face. Monty actually dumped my 3 times great grandmother at prom in front of everyone. So she hexed him into becoming his own worst nightmare. And apparently he's scared of skeletons. So.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
He's been a great co-host for me. I got no complaints with Monty at all.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't either.
All right. Well, I tell you what we're gonna do. Diego here is gonna give us a little reenactment of what the original blessing on the Lair area would have been, so that we can kind of see what happened that made the Lair the magical place that it is. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I did not know you were recording.